Alex Ansary here, April 1st, 2017. Gonna do a little speculative wargaming on the ramp up to World War III. Provocateurs within our own movement, obviously within our own government. That can be seen, the so-called People's Champion, taking us closer to World War III. The possibility of a false flag to be blamed on a Muslim immigrant, to then be blamed on those judges and policies and sanctuary cities, maybe a sanctuary like city like Denver or Portland, an attempted terror attack or successful terror attack. They've actually drilled for years. Top off 4 in Portland, Oregon, prepared for a dirty bomb attack, 2007. They're also running other drills in aerospace where they're intercepting attacks from overseas. It's called Vigilant Shield. By the way, we have a massive drill in the part of NATO in the Baltics, but so does Russia. Both Russia and NATO have major war game drills coming up this September, leading some observers to think that World War III is literally around the corner, or at least things moving from a preparation stage to an action stage. Still think we're a few years off, but it could kick off and lead to a massive climax. So I've discussed the 2020s and this being a period in which we could see the U.S. occupied by China and Russia. So this podcast talks about one of many different perspectives that I have. We're going to talk about the domestic terrorists. We're going to talk about the Headhunters. And we're not talking about ISIS. We're not talking about Middle Eastern immigrants. We are talking about the people that would be going after, in a violent manner, Middle Eastern immigrants. The men raping the Middle Eastern women, just like they did when they were in uniform, serving back in Iraq. We're talking about future gangs of America, ex-veterans, biker gangs. It's like Hell's Angels 3.0, ladies and gentlemen, where the darker skinned human are seen as the enemy of the so-called suppressed white man. See, they have oiled this machinery to a point where I believe they're going to pull the trigger. All of this manufactured domestic terrorism that's going to be directed at minority communities is a by design blueprint to promote the use of foreign troops in the United States to go after them. Okay, when you start hearing stories about people from certain countries being whacked, either from India or other places, right now we're seeing like a small boil. It's not a full-blown holy shit. Okay, and I'm being objective here. I've seen stories of Sikhs being shot at, but the guy wasn't killed. You know, there was another situation in Eugene where a guy came in with a pipe or a weapon, and the guy wasn't killed in that situation, the owner of the Middle Eastern restaurant, but it was a story. So we're seeing warning signs. I'm concerned, though, that we're going to see a buildup. They already pulled a few domestic false flags before the election of Donald Trump. They're not done. We just saw the Skull and Bones 322 terror attacks, somewhat related to Brexit. And then I'm seeing those in the research community on YouTube spinning and spinning. We've already noticed the people like, some people call him the fat man. He's really the top provocateur in the alternative media, Alex Jones, exposing false flags to then getting behind the official story and demonizing all immigrants when he knows better. Man is soul to soul. So when you come to an awareness, whoa, some of these people have been provocateuring for a long time. Look at what they're saying. And then realize the truth is the opposite, in some cases, of what they're saying. Okay, so we look at Alex Jones, and we see how he used certain talking points, and he was a leader. He was a real leader and pioneer in the 9/11 truth movement. And now, here we are in 2017. We see the caricature of the Middle Eastern rapist. They want the, it's being played by Alex Jones, no longer reporting on the New World Order, now a real life comic book character himself. Just like during World War II. Did you know there were cartoons of the Japanese, showed them eating children? This was the type of propaganda that was going on during that period. Yes, a war that also had its own false flag, or also had its own prior warning, like 9/11, Pearl Harbor. They knew the plans for the Japanese to attack. The whole thing was designed to bring America into World War II. So there's a part of me that has a lot of concern for immigrants from all over the world, as well as American citizens, as well as white people that are not a part of this neo-Nazi movement that will be targeted by those radicalized minority groups. And then we see the controlled chaos, Don't Shoot Portland, as well as the Black Lives Matter. But I talk about Portland because I know, no, we're not friends. I know who those players are. They're not being paid by Soros. That is a genuine aspect of the controlled chaos. The people in Portland blocking traffic, the people getting up in people's faces, even white so-called anarchists getting up in the face of a black woman, or white women, right, disrespecting black men that aren't down with blocking traffic and being disrespectful. That's right. You see video there of black men with cameras calling out the behavior of the Black Lives Matter movement, which is mostly white in Portland. What are you people doing? How is this supporting your cause? See, you're going Black Lives Matter. This guy's like, I'm black and I don't, and they're treating him with disrespect. I've watched a lot of videos from one particular channel. There's actually several different things now, or videos, where a really rude white woman got in the face of a black guy and said, no, this is how things are done. You like being an Uncle Tom. Or you do things your way, we'll do things our way. But just with a tone of, you're an idiot. And other things. It's important for me to see that, because then I don't always take things so personal when I've had run-ins with those people and they've treated me with disrespect. Here they are treating a man who's straight up black. And they're going to treat him with disrespect, like he's not, like he has no intelligence, right? That his voice doesn't matter. Then how are they being conscious, loving white people? So you have this situation that's brewing where people are becoming radicalized and very militant. And I'm watching it build. Bump, 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 and build. Bump, 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 bump. Something's coordinating all this. And they're coordinating things to where, and they're going to have people that are using their rationale on both sides. Like there are people that are adamant, like we have to go out and street fight with the Nazis. This is how things are done. This is how we've maintained balance in the United States. When Nazis show up, we got to come down there with baseball bats and fuck them up. And there are people out there that talk like this, but they're not actually involved in doing any real activism. They just want to go to the fight. And people joke about this, like, I'm not going to the protests, not unless there's violence. And see, these are the same people that don't really see value in philosophical thought and critical thinking skills. Or other things that I try to express on this channel. They're interested in Mortal Kombat. Dun, 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 dun. See, and it's really sad. Side note, I like martial arts. Do you know how difficult it is just to find a good martial arts partner? Which is really like moving meditation and things not be about Fight Club. Do you realize how pathetic today's male really has become? Because they're not really men. And the same thing goes with females. Because they're not really women. So it is a very challenging time. A very lonely time. We come across very few real men and real women. So I go within for the answers that I need. I speak to my audience here off the grid on YouTube. I don't need to be speaking before a concert hall. I don't need to be on live access TV in Portland, Oregon. I don't need to go socialize at the bar after work. I don't need to debate with these people. I don't need to be super freaked out that the other night when I had beers at a locals very close to my home, he and his friend were joking about eating and raping Iranians. And I was born half Middle Eastern with a Middle Eastern name, which some people would call Islamic. You know, this awkward, like, what kind of a reality is this? You have literally associated a religion with a name, and I bear the mark of that name. Will the headhunters seek the Ansary? And see, I'm all in. This Matrix casino. I'm actually going to be going to an Indian casino, folks, for the first time in like ever, coming up next week with a good friend. Looking forward to that. Side note, reel it back. I'm all in. My spirit is in. I placed the bet a long time ago that my incarnation, my purpose, my destiny, the time that I meant to be spent, it's not to be involved in criminal actions. It's not to be involved in selfish actions. It's not to be chasing any particular woman, although I am a human and I've sought certain things. But it's really what I'm supposed to do and educate. You know, I may live in a nice home, but that's not the purpose of my life, to have a mansion or to have $1 million. But if I can achieve certain physical things and add that to my stepping stone program to reaching more people around the world, then I'm fine with that. I'm fine with receiving, but that's not the purpose. My purpose is being done right now as I speak. This is my purpose. And by staying on the path, everything else in my life will work itself out. But I need to maintain my independence. I need to access my intuition. I need to balance my left and my right brain as I speak. Not be in the box, but let it flow. Let it flow, let it flow, let it flow. Speak from the heart and tell you and put it out there, even if I'm the only guy on YouTube. So you have a manufactured domestic terror, white supremacist movement that they are manufacturing in the same way that on the other side they say that Soros is behind all this. And Soros is behind all this. Well, whether it's Soros or some other dude, not on the left, but on this other side, and we see Alex's participation. We see the role of Breitbart, and perhaps that's controlled as well, controlled opposition. You know, I don't spend too much time with certain theories because I can feel it. I can feel that archonic, what's somewhat called demonic. It's almost the supernatural, paranormal. But when you have a large collective and you're using technology to promote illusions of separation, you're dealing with digital witchcraft. Like a subliminal 666 or screw your sister, blah, 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 XXX. Incest, sodomy, thievery, genocide, just subliminal, just whoop, 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 whoop. Oh, you think you've seen the primary subliminals, and they live. Obey, sleep, consume more. What about something more direct? Afghans are subhumans. Kill them. Kill, kill, kill. Destroy the Middle East. And completely terrorize and isolate those that look different, that are wearing what looks like a towel on their head. Sikhs, which aren't even Muslims. Whoop, 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 whoop. And yet you have people that are programmed by that whoop, 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 that are using they live memes of putting on the sunglasses and thinking they've awoken. Well, they put on the sunglasses, all right. Awoken, they've not. Okay, it's really about taking the sunglasses off. It's really about shutting the fucking computer off. It's looking at reality as it is and going, holy shit. They're going to use this racism against Americans later on. They talk about things that I've been discussing for years. Human trafficking, they have a plan. Okay. Now they're starting to talk about the Chinese population growing. No more one-child policy. What do you think's going on? They're preparing for a massive army. And those babies that are going to be born, that's considered expendable. What if I'm wrong about 2025? What if it's 2030? Doesn't matter. It's on its way. They will sacrifice millions of Chinese and Russian troops. And in both China and Russia, they want breeding for the motherland. Breeding for the motherland. Right? The Putin kids. The next Chinese generation. We look at the Chinese pollution and the land they own under our feet. The China threat is real. All of this is being planned. But what kind of a crisis would the world need to see to say it is time to step in and intervene because the United States is not responsible to manage its own affairs? You could see something like the United States attacking Iran or another country where there's a death toll of 1 million people, followed by or in concurrent American citizens, whether immigrants or not, even Middle Eastern or not, but primarily being detained at U.S. detention facilities after an ongoing series of false flag tears, and perhaps other allegations of rape, torture, missing people, missing immigrants from other countries like India, other citizens that aren't even Muslim, because the world is really good at looking the other way when it's a Muslim. What about someone that just doesn't have the right skin tone, that has a suspicious name that happens to be shared by some terrorist, or someone that they say is a terrorist? Oh, your name, it's the same as this. It's an accident. Blame it on AI. Yeah. And it's artificial intelligence that we're looking at. We're looking at the beast activated for some reason by some force to decide what type of culling takes place on the planet. Well, I live to see 50. This 37-year-old man, born on February 25th, 1980, at Good Samaritan Hospital on Northwest 23rd in Portland, Oregon, USA, planet Earth. Well, I live to see 50. The headhunters are being prepared. And they plan to ride through this nation like Vikings. Okay. Some will take the heads with them. Some will not. But their actions will lead to other actions that won't end the bloodshed in America. It'll bring it to their communities and their women. And I've warned them. People can go ahead and commit all the crimes and sins that they want. I'm not going to cheer on their own destruction. I'm going to warn them and say, stop what you're doing. They're going to use that against you. And innocent people, stop what you're doing. You're a part of the problem. We need to protect our women, not put them in bad situations. But yet the men and women in this country collectively have shown me they don't have much to say about those that have been killed already. And a lot of people aren't even realizing what's to come. And to see so many people rally behind a candidate that's dividing the country by design, who is not actually going to curtail the wars, but take us to the next level in a partnership with Israel, this is not good. And so people keep thinking that, oh no, there's balance now of the force through a Trump-Russian alliance. I'm saying now here, not for the first time, but really directly, this was an intended psyops to relax the nerves of those that claim that they care about self-preservation and staying alive and out of nuclear war. You have people that claim that they don't want to see war with Russia, that are supporting Wheels in Motion and the script, which is really a distortion. There is a plan for war with Russia, and it can begin in the Trump administration and be handed off to somebody else. They're just going to continue to blame things on Obama, and they're doing that. And I'm going, why are they doing that? Is this really just a difference of opinion, or are these real Russian agents? How do you say over and over and over that the Democrats, are behind the war machine? Stop it, because the last thing that I want to believe is that certain people out there are Russian agents. I rather believe we have a difference of opinion. Part of me prays for them to wake up, and then I step back and go, don't do that, because that's violating free will. You want to pray for them to have your viewpoint, my viewpoint? I'm better than that. I'm better than misusing or misunderstanding prayer. Okay, I'm not going to force create anything. I would have great delight in my heart and my body and spirit to build an alliance with other people out there in what is still called the alternative media. And so there is a part of me that prays that one day we will be on the same side. We don't have to agree on everything. But once you hit that zeitgeist within and you see the global hand steering this, and you see them using white supremacy from Russia to the United States to fulfill an agenda, only to pull everybody under the same umbrella later, after they convince people to go in these hateful directions. See, that is the number one threat to national sovereignty, is these nationalistic groups that get racial and violent, that promote the illusions of separation. See, that is actually a threat to nationalism when you know they're going to use the actions against them in favor of globalism, in favor of globalization. Another spin-off on the word, but globalism is a spin-off. New World Order, one world government has been what this is all about. And that is what we're facing after war with China and Russia. We're facing one world government between the US, China, and Russia and the other nations. Europe acts like, oh no, this isn't primarily our thing. This is really some US versus China, Russia beef in these other countries. Yeah. It's interesting. Israel and Europe, they've been controlling, in a lot of ways, Russia, China, and the United States. So they're not really going to be at the center of this. So a lot of things are going to be controlled out of Europe, controlled by Europeans, but it's laid out to look a certain way on the map. But it's building. The actions today by Alex Jones, the actions by others, those they call the alt-right, they're planning to use this. Let's say we're dealing with a situation where we haven't gone to war yet, but we're about to, and yet everything's been built. And as they prepare for war, U.S. versus Russia, U.S. versus China, you'll also see the financial deals that it doesn't seem to make sense. Well, why would Trump have a deal with Russia and China on this end? And yet they prepare for war. It's business as usual. That's what we see from the Clinton administration. That's what we saw for the Bushes. Yeah, Bush's missile defense plan. Aggression towards Russia. Big deal. Oh, yeah. Bush, real critical of Trump. That's what they want you to believe. And then you look, oh, there's George Bush. He was friends with Putin as well. There they are, maybe not both of them with their shirts off, jerking each other off, but it might as well be, there they are fishing. There they are hunting. And you type in Bush, Putin, it's all over. These people get together and they talk about a war. Well, they will send their own people to fight the people in the other country. Meanwhile, they wine and they dine and they have sex with the same prostitute while they laugh about how they're friends, but they're going to act like they're enemies. They're going to provide the excuse for massive military spending, all the energy created by the peoples through the tax system and their central banks. And there are links. Let's talk about that in a future video. I'm going to talk with someone else about their research behind the idea that the central banks of the world are actually tied together. That Russia and the United States are actually tied together. That the Russian economic system is not really outside of our system. It's another version. So we'll talk about that in the future. But you talk about the manufactured terrorist element, which is basically the theme of this podcast. It's been building. It's been building. So if someone enters into a trance, right, they're under a spell. There's Islam. There's Islamists and Muslims under every corner. We got to go on the offensive because they're coming after us. And they don't realize that they're being used as a tool. They don't realize there's disinformation on Facebook, that Zuckerberg isn't against it, but he's actually for it. And they're unable to actually figure out how the plot goes, that Donald Trump is a traitor. He's not a savior. There's a lot of people right now, they're just ready now. They're just ready to be told, okay, boom, the attacks are taking place and they're over there. Go get them. And if they're not going to go voluntarily to the camp, we need a volunteer militia to help us do it. And they can build up a whole case that the American government has turned into a domestic terrorist organization, but actually international, as they build up a case, and then maybe just bring out 9/11. Not to give some healing, though. No, to all those millions of dead Middle Easterns, but just simply to use it against the United States. And so, as far as I'm concerned, all this is building. And certain off-grid areas, we have a lot of people dreaming and fantasizing about raping and killing Iranians, people that live in this area. Do I think these areas are going to remain safe no matter how beautiful they are? I'm glad I was exposed to that. Yeah, I'm full into, investing in my own land. But do I think that God's protecting this land just because it's burning? Or I see a wildfire coming to kind of burn through that which needs to be cleansed. I'm here for now. And I thank God for the ability to come to you on this podcast. And that I can actually sit back and this be my way of life. It is for now. Tomorrow could change. But see, a lot of people aren't even looking this far. They're not even projecting these things. I'm not trying to terrify you. If some of you can come to terms with what's going on, even if you're white and you realize, oh, this is going to cause backlash against whites in some areas by minorities, you can plan your exit from a bad situation. Protect yourself, protect your wife, protect your husband. If that's the case, protect your children, protect your family. Be willing to assist, if need be, if asked, your mother and your father. But see, we can't make them understand these threats are coming. I haven't been able to. We may have to have really large hearts in the future, but you're also going to have to weed out those people that are going to parasite on you. They're going to act like they're awake later on, and they still haven't figured things out. You're going to have to pick your friends, especially your partners. You should already be on that level. So I'm going to come back. There's different little scenarios to this collapse, but there's certain themes that are ultimately going to be consistent throughout the whole thing. And one of them, as I've been expressing here, is going to be the domestic terror threat. They're going to promote to create the situation, problem, reaction, solution like 9/11. They went into Afghanistan because of the plot that was put out there. The Taliban taking over, this area. They have to go in, but they never leave. And they never get rid of the terror threat, so they always have an enemy to fight. I want you to imagine what that would look like with PSYOPs and multiple, wildlife refuge takeovers and supposed takeovers of land by domestic terror groups, and in conjunction with certain groups being locked up, massacred, raped, disappeared, and attacked, and the government pretty much looking the other way, and perhaps some other dirty stuff coming out later, things that the government may do themselves. Domestic detention facilities here. All the things that would give the New World Order, led by China, Russia, and other nations, using also North Korean troops and Iranian troops. Of course, now our country is looking to start a war with both of them. See, this is all to get the ball rolling in a inevitable outcome that they have planned. Like 9/11, they allowed our defenses to go down. And like with World War III, there's going to be something very similar to that on a military level regarding the takedown of our grid. So different scenarios on the timeline. I'm Alex Ansary, trying to assist you in your self-preservation for what I feel is to come. Sign off now for March 31st, 2017.